Story 1. I don't believe in religion anymore. I'm an agnostic. I don't think much of religion or think that it is true, but I respect people's rights to believe in it if they want to. Story 2. I don't follow any religion. I've tried that path, but it just felt like chains to me. I believe in myself, in my own strength and choices. I won't let anyone else dictate how I should feel or what I should believe. I'm done with waiting for answers from some higher power. I'll find my own way. Story 3. If the threat of eternal damnation is what keeps you from murdering and raping people, then please, for the sake of humanity, continue believing in that nonsense. The rest of us decent people will be over here doing our thing. Story 4. Religion is man-made, and some people need religion in their life for comfort, structure, and to explain why life is the way it is. As long as they leave other people alone and cause no harm, I am good with that. For them, religion is good. However, those who say they need religion to be able to act morally are not really good people at all. Neither are the people who use religion to control, oppress, or extort other people. Story 5. I am Christian. I hate what Christianity has done to the world. People judging others for their opinions is incredibly wrong. Abortion should be legal and easily accessible. Same-sex love is love. And all-accepting God does not pick and choose who is worthy based on their mindset, but rather the grace they can give to others as he did. If you were really Christian, you would understand this, but the ones who try to judge and impose their own opinions on others are why people hate religion in general. Just be a decent human and do not worry about what others have going on. It is not your life. Story 6. My religion teaches me that religion is personal. I don't have to worship our gods and do the rituals as long as what I do is done with clean, good thoughts. At the end of the day, my religion is about finding God within you, that is, inner peace or nirvana. Story 7. I am a Christian, and I believe all the people who hate religion have only met with religious extremists who hate people. The entire point of our religion is to love, not hate. Just know, if a Christian is hating you or trying to forcefully convert you, we really do not see them as a true follower. Story 8. I am a practicing Episcopalian, an Anglican for non-Americans. We tend not to be dogmatic and practice our faith quietly, focusing on social justice and how God wants us to create a caring and compassionate world. We certainly are not scriptural literalists and don't waste our mental energy condemning others, something which is completely at odds with Christ's teachings. My family and I have derived a great deal of strength and community from our faith. Story 9. I can't believe how many people believe. We are an intelligent species. Unfortunately, we are highly suggestible, especially to the power of thinking in groups. I see examples of it everywhere. We seem to instinctively fear being outside the central group in our worldview, and the worst offense anyone can commit is to not think like the others. Religion is the primary example. Politics follows. So does the Reddit collective mindset. I truly wish it were acceptable for an individual to form their own mind and speak their truth freely and publicly, but more often than not, the individual will be ostracized at best and publicly punished at worst. Story 10. I do not follow any religion. Religion is that cage in which our soul is imprisoned, and they show it as a sanctuary. Teaches submission, not liberation. It tells you that you are separate from the divine, when in reality you are the divine. They sell us peace, but it is the peace of ignorance. They promise salvation, but it is the salvation of your mind's enslavement. For me, the best peace is in not believing in rituals or gods. It is in waking up to the reality that everything you seek is already within you. Story 11. Does anyone think that a divine power with the ability to create the universe has petty little rules we must follow? Who can nurse whom, what fabrics can be worn together? Men aren't accountable for rape if the woman didn't cover her hair. When to pray, what time to pray, what direction to face while praying. Original sin? Which was real? Jesus? Mithras? Horus? Osiris? Primitive beliefs from ages past don't make sense today. To top it off, nobody follows their book to the absolute letter. So, all faithless hypocrites because you don't believe in final punishment. So, you really don't believe the whole thing and are a pretender. Story 12. I don't care about it. I don't mean that in an edgy way. I just genuinely do not care. Someone is religious. Love that. Someone isn't. Love that. For someone who loves watching paranormal things, I've never been one for believing in or relying on something I can't physically see in front of me. It's just not in me, that ability to believe in things like that. All I do know for sure, though, is that if there is a God, he's got a lot of explaining to do. I'm not the type who will bow down and blindly accept. I've got questions. An interrogation level list. Story 13. I am not religious, but I do have a general reverence for spirituality, and I believe that there must be something in the universe transcendent of human perception. Call it God if you like. Story 14. The question, why are we here, has caused the most devastation to the human race. Outside of scientific endeavor, the subject has only ever been used to control other people. Story 15. Religion comes from, in part, the Latin word religare, which means to gather or to bind. Thus, what religion is to gather people together. Specifically, it is about gathering people together to ponder and consider what all of this means. What is the human condition? What is going on? It does not mandate a belief in gods. It does not require any paranormal beliefs. It is a gathering of people who agree about how and why to understand the world around us. Story 16. I would not care much about religion if religious people did not keep trying to take away rights from people who are different from them. But they do, so I do. Religion amplifies the worst sides of people and encourages irrational thinking. We would be better off without it. Story 17. I find it interesting, but I do not believe in it. It kind of annoys me how simplified it is in modern debate, with people saying it is whether one believes in old stories or not, when, in reality, religion is sets of morals, understanding of metaphysics, collection of customs and traditions, and community. Story 18. It seems even those who don't have faith in a creator still have a sense of the numinous, whether found through music or sex or the vastness of nature, for example. But I believe all these things give us that connection with God feeling because there really is a God behind them who made all of it, including us, as an overflow of his joy. Is that religion, or is it merely one type of spirituality? I've been pretty deeply hurt by enough professing Christians that I stopped attending church for a couple of years. But it sure seems regularly gathering with fellow believers is important to God. So I've made it important to me. I found a really welcoming little church that emphasizes you can belong before you believe. And I respect that even though I've always found the claims of the Christian faith to be logical and true, I'm also in the band there. If any of that makes me religious, then I still don't love the religion. I love God and therefore love his creations and his precepts. Religiosity can stand in the way of that. Story 19. I don't currently follow any, but I wouldn't really call myself an atheist. An intelligent creator isn't something we can observe or produce repeatable results for, but that also means, at least right now, that we can't rule it out either. If I were a believer, though, Buddhism would be my pick. They don't believe in a creator. They encourage skepticism and an observation-based approach to understanding reality, and they believe that no truths are absolute. Story 20. I think it's a way for people to divide people. Why do the Abrahamic religions fight wars when they all worship the same God? It's dumb as hell. Small-time churches are good for fellowship and networking, but then it's not about a God, but about the people. Honestly, it's always about the people. I wonder if they even really believe in their God. It's just a reason to get them all together. It doesn't make much sense if you think about it critically. Like, check this. If I'm walking down the street and I see a man sexually assaulting a child, and I have a gun, a knife, and a lead pipe at my disposal, and I don't stop it, I'm a huge piece of shit. Even worse if I just sit there and watch it happening. God has divinity and he just watches because he has a plan. I'm forsaking the gun and the knife and I'm taking the lead pipe to the guy's head. I'm not a god, so I can't see, and I don't particularly care if he's going to go on to be a saint, cure cancer, or whatever. You do that to a child, your life is forfeit. There are tons of cases like this. A good God wouldn't allow a lot of things. People talk about going before St. Peter at the pearly gates and having their sins read off and asking for forgiveness. Why don't we instead list all the messed up things we saw and ask God for forgiveness? or raise deuces and go hang out with the guy who got cast out for suggesting a better way. All that being said, Jesus seemed like a cool dude, and like I tell my Christian friends, as a guy who likes anime and science fiction, I don't need fictional characters to be real to be moved by their ways and deeds. They think it's borderline offensive that I see Jesus as a fictional character, and probably not so borderline when I call Christianity literally the biggest fandom out there. At least I'm not calling it a cult. And calling it a fandom and calling its followers fans is actually kind of in line with the first commandment. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. I can explain this and have done. I don't think it's made me any friends. I can be a smartass at times, but I mean, well, I think. Anyway, I think it's fine for an atheist to think Jesus was a cool person and that some of his ideals are worth following while being wholly outside of the religion of Christianity. After all, Jesus himself was not a Christian, he was a Jew. It's right there in the Bible. I'm not a Jew either, but if a Jew can get to heaven with never having accepted Christ as his Lord and Savior, then so can an atheist. The difference is, I don't believe heaven exists or in the Old Testament God as religions depict him. I merely accept that Jesus was a man who tried to be a good person, and that's worth admiring and emulating. Story 21. I believe in the existence of a God and the possibility that he would want us to follow certain rules. In particular, I follow Islam and believe in Allah, the God of all three Abrahamic religions. Story 22. Religion served a purpose explaining the unexplainable until it became explainable. Where does the sun go each night? It lies down below the western horizon until smarter people showed it goes nowhere. It is the earth that turns. Makes more sense. You would think that as each mystery is solved, religion would adjust or disappear, right? No. It was discovered, or perhaps it's an undocumented feature, that religion was a useful tool to control the uneducated masses and make a considerable profit to boot. It's a con no matter who's doing it. Story 23. I have been a practicing Roman Catholic since I was baptized. I believe God exists. I believe abortion is murder and should not be allowed unless the mother's life is threatened. I believe that while homosexuality is sinful, it is not my right to treat them worse for it because we are all sinners. Let he who has never sinned throw the first stone. You do you and I will do me. We both have to answer before God one day, and I pray for you. I am also not a huge fan of preaching and trying to convert people openly, like yelling on a street corner or ridiculing people. I prefer converting people through our actions. Living piously, giving to the poor, and living as a good Catholic. Story 24. To be honest, I am Hindu, but I'm not fully believing in God because of the unfortunate things that happened to me. You can say I'm agnostic because there's no one listening to my prayers. Edit. Making things more clear. Story 25. I like to interpret and explain it as follows. Religion, mythology, and theology are beliefs. They believe in a God and religious doctrine, often because they are told to do so. Their beliefs require faith. While spirituality is an experience, it is experiencing God firsthand yourself. The experience that eventually led to the creation of those religions, mythologies, and theologies was an attempt to understand and interpret spiritual experiences. Someone who has had a spiritual experience like an awakening, enlightenment, or in modern terms ego death, has experienced the existence of God themselves. They know God exists as they met it personally. Their spirituality does not require faith because it is an actual experience they had. They are shown the proof. Spirituality is the experiencing of God, something that is experienced by millions of diverse people all over the world throughout history. All theology came from people trying to convey and explain their spiritual experiences to others. And many theologies eventually lacked people who actually had spiritual experiences and became doctrines of faith. While our ancient ancestors practically all had these experiences through spiritual practices, plant teachers, and shamanism, our modern society lost touch with our natural state of spirituality over time. These tellings of spiritual experiences and shamanic preachings were eventually manipulated by authoritarian organizations and individuals over time in history, and combined with personal ego and preferences to build doctrines and tools for power and control. Spirituality at its core is the experience of God and the spiritual through altered states of consciousness. For example, through various spiritual practices, near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, prolonged sensory deprivation, high doses of psychedelic substances, and other methods. Spirituality is our primary state of consciousness, the connection to the universe and God, the connection of soul and body, the connection of life and death. Story 26. I do not follow any religion anymore. I stay respectful to those who believe in them, though I keep my opinions to myself to avoid any sort of unnecessary debates. Story 27. As someone from Asia, I have had exposure to a variety of religious beliefs and practices, given the rich cultural diversity of the region. While I do not personally follow any particular religion, I deeply respect the different faiths that shape people's lives. From Buddhism, Hinduism, and Taoism to Islam, Christianity, and indigenous spiritual practices, each religion offers unique perspectives on life, ethics, and the meaning of existence. Personally, I focus on understanding and appreciating the values that these religions promote, such as compassion, respect, and mindfulness.